Hello gardeners, and welcome to my urban garden. Here in this video, I'm going to give you an update about what happened when I planted black Aztec corn in zone 9 here in central Texas. I started the seedlings around July and transplanted those seedlings in mid-August into an in-ground garden bed. I mulched and tilled that bed, and I ended up getting a harvest pretty quickly. The corn sprouted up pretty quickly and grew very rapidly and started producing silks pretty early on. I definitely think that had to do with the very high temperatures. And as a result, when the corn silks began to emerge, I clipped off those tassels and pollinated many of those corn silks by hand. I didn't do it in as much of an organized fashion as I maybe could have, looking back, but eventually around the second week of October, a lot of the corn silks were already drying, and I had multiple small ears of corn all throughout my garden. I harvested those ears to find that they were in fact completely ripe and mature, even though they were smaller than I was expecting them to be. So after all of this effort, I did see that some corn stalks were pollinated better than others. So what am I going to do in the future? I'm definitely going to have another crop of black Aztec corn and possibly sweet corn in the future. I learned a lot through this experience. So I definitely learned that I would probably have to add a lot more fertilizer, and that perhaps late July and early August may be a little bit too early to start a corn crop here in zone 9. It could be because we had some unseasonably hot weather and very high temperatures, which made my corn grow very rapidly and tassel maybe a little bit too quickly. So perhaps I may want to check my weather report and maybe plant it a little bit later into the late summer, early fall gardening season. And I did stay very consistent with watering. I didn't really have any dry stalks, but my stalks were pretty small and my ears of corn were pretty small. So what did I do with those ears of corn? I made a family favorite, which is a Southwestern style fried rice. This is a pretty easy dish. And in fact, you can even make it out of a lot of the leftovers you have in your garden and in your fridge. To make a Southwestern style rice, you just need to get some garden fresh veggies. I chose some red pepper and onion. After adding the red pepper and onion, I sauteed those for a bit and then added the Aztec corn. I had cut it off of its ears and threw it right into the saute pan with the onions and the peppers, and you can even add a little bit of garlic. So once I had that sauteed nice and soft, I also added some leftover chicken that we had grilled a few days back, maybe 2 days back, as well as some rice from Chinese takeout that no one ever ate. I added some butter, a little bit of chicken broth to moisten it up, and then cooked it all together. I added some of my favorite Southwest spices, like you can add hatch pepper. You can add thinly sliced hatch pepper. You can add cilantro like I did. And just things like cumin and garlic powder and salt and pepper and maybe even a little chili powder, and just made a really yummy fried Southwestern rice with the butter and the chicken broth. It just kind of moistened it up, and it made something that could have other been leftovers that would have sat in the back of the fridge and been thrown out. I was able to refresh them with some garden fresh veggies and create a whole new meal. So I definitely will be growing black Aztec corn again. This dish was a real hit. The difference with black Aztec corn than I think regular sweet corn is that it does taste a bit more starchy, but when you offset it with some sweet vegetables like sweet peppers and a really good sweet onion or shallot, and maybe even things that are a little bit spicy like some chili powder and hatch pepper, all of those flavors really did come together really well, and it ended up being a really good dish. So Thanks for tuning into My Urban Garden, and I'll keep you updated on these corny videos in the future. Remember, no matter how much space you have in your urban garden, there's always room to grow.